Hey everyone, welcome back to MOVIEidol. So in this video, I want to break down the teaser, or I guess the sneak peek for episode 5 of The Walking Dead, and it also relates to a theory out there that Ezekiel might be sick. And by sick, obviously I mean a fatal illness, and that might actually be how he dies this season. But before we jump in, I do have to warn you obviously for spoilers for last night's episode, spoilers for the comics, mostly just Ezekiel's arc anyways, and yeah, I'll basically leave that there. Also, if you're new to the channel, make sure to be a subscriber to get more Walking Dead content like this. If you missed my review for last night's episode, I'll leave a link to that at the end of this video. Also, I did do a trailer breakdown for the general trailer anyways for episode 5. I have a few other videos I want to do today, kind of going into tomorrow and stuff on Walking Dead, like stuff to do with Maggie, stuff to do with Alpha and Negan, and yeah, some Rick Grimes movie stuff because I missed like a week and a half of material, right? So a lot of stuff to talk about. First, I want to talk about Ezekiel because it seems like this character, based off of this sneak peek now, I really do think he's likely sick and has a fatal illness and that he's going to die in this first half. Now in this scene here, we see Ezekiel, he's just like, he's at the hilltop, he's thinking about stuff, he sees Daryl and Sadiq, they arrive. Daryl kind of points at Connie and says, talk later, so yeah, that's a thing. Sadiq and Ezekiel talk, and Ezekiel says, well, I'm gonna need your help in infirmary because we need more people there, and Sadiq's like, well, I was planning to leave tomorrow, but sure, I'll help, which is also another red flag, because I'm like, I betcha Sadiq is going to find out something, and that's why he's not going to be able to leave. Like he said, oh yeah, I'm gonna have to leave tomorrow, so I can help for now, but I'm gonna have to leave. And it's like, that's just weirdly placed dialogue. I feel like something's gonna happen that's gonna deter him from leaving. He's gonna discover that Ezekiel's sick. He'll find out something with him, which will relate to the synopsis for episode 6, but we'll talk about that in time. But in this scene here, as Ezekiel's talking to Daryl, he coughs, and it is just kind of a regular cough, but he does cough. It is noticeable. And now I'm wondering, is he sick? Is he going to die? Because the thing about television shows, if he coughs, or if a character coughs at all, it's usually for a reason, right? Like in everyday life, like I have a cough right now. I've been coughing for like a week or two. Does that mean something? Hopefully not, but everybody usually has a cough. People will cough here and there. No one really, it's pretty normal, I would say, overall. But on a television show, when there's no real reason to cough, it catches your attention and you're wondering, why is that person coughing? And this isn't the first time Ezekiel has coughed, but it's the first time where I'm kind of thinking this could mean a lot more, because in the season 10 premiere, he coughed. He actually had like this coughing fit, but it was during the fire scene, right? He was trying to put out the fire. There was so much smoke everywhere. I mean, everyone was probably having a coughing fit, right? We just didn't see all of it. And Ezekiel coughing here, we weren't really thinking much of it. Maybe he got some kind of illness from that. Maybe he damaged his lungs then, like due to that smoke, but I don't know what it is yet. Obviously we'll find out in episode 5 or 6, but he was coughing a lot then, and we haven't really seen Ezekiel for a while. We saw him in last night's episode for a bit, and he was also in a very depressed state. And then yeah, in this sneak peek for episode 5, he's coughing again. Sadiq is conveniently placed there, and so I'm really wondering, does he have a very bad illness? Is he going to die at some point this season? And I think there's a really good chance that he could be sick, and I've been saying this for a while. I do think Ezekiel's going to be a character death this season. I think he's going to be a very big death in this first half, just because of his mindset, and just because I don't know what there's left to do with the character. Because where do you go from here with Ezekiel? The only place to go is up, and from going up, I mean, he has to get Carol back, and maybe he doesn't get Carol back. Maybe he finds someone else. Maybe he has more confidence in himself. He can just be single, be himself, and just find some kind of happiness in some other way. But the character has been through a lot of these situations in the past. Personally, I don't think there's anywhere else to go with the character. I think this illness is fatal, and I think it's going to result in his death. I mean, you think about it. I actually mentioned this in my trailer breakdown last night. He's lost a lot of people. He's lost everything. The Kingdom, Shiva, Benjamin, Henry. He's lost Carol. And last night's episode, he was standing over a cliff or a bridge. I can't remember, but it looked like he was going to kill himself. Maybe he actually wasn't, but he was contemplating, I'm going to be going soon anyways. I don't know if he knows what his illness is anyways, but maybe he does. Maybe there's something that he does know. Now, I'm going to read the synopsis for episode 5 and for episode 6 because it does actually relate with this, and I think it further proves the theory that Ezekiel is sick, and that is this one here. This is for episode 5, titled What It Always Is. Supplies go missing from Hilltop. Negan is idolized by an Alexandrian. Ezekiel holds a secret. So for that first part, supplies go missing from Hilltop, I mean, that could be related to Kelly. That could be related to Daryl and Connie and why they go out searching for Kelly, why they go out searching for maybe their supplies, like the reason those supplies are going missing. That's a separate storyline. Negan is idolized by an Alexandrian. We know that has to do with Brandon and Negan, and that will likely relate to the Whisperers and stuff like that. Like, that's a whole separate storyline. We'll talk about that in a separate video because I want to talk about what that means for Beta and Alpha. But then the last part here, Ezekiel holds a secret. Now, what secret could he have at this point? In last night's episode, he was pretty open with how he was feeling. There's no other secret he could have. What, does he have a secret girlfriend? Does he have a secret crush on Michonne? Like, that kind of makes no sense. Is he a secret whisperer? Did he do something during the whisper? Like, no. Any of that would butcher his character. There's nothing else out there that I can possibly think of that's like secret worthy that he could be keeping that makes sense. The only thing that makes sense is that he knows that he is sick and could be dying, but he's just choosing not to do anything about it because maybe it's because of his depressed state, or maybe it's because there is nothing you can do. I don't know. But it says Ezekiel holds a secret. He's been coughing a lot. He seems very depressed. I think he's sick. I think this proves that he's sick. But then there's the synopsis for episode 6 titled Bonds. It says Carol and Daryl go on a mission together, which I think is related to Negan and the Whisperers, but we'll talk about that in a separate video. And then it says, while Sadiq struggles to solve a mystery. Again, we know based off of this sneak peek that Sadiq is now at the hilltop. I think in episode 5, we're going to find out what that secret Ezekiel is holding is. And then in episode 6, Sadiq is going to try and somehow solve it. Again, Sadiq says, well, I was supposed to leave tomorrow, but yeah, I can help you out. Like, that was just weirdly placed dialogue. I think Sadiq's going to find out something that day about Ezekiel, and then in episode 6 he's going to try and solve the mystery, which is basically just solving Ezekiel's illness. Is there a way we can cure him? Is there a way we can help him? Either he's struggling to try and cure Ezekiel, or he's struggling to find out what's wrong with him. But I think Ezekiel probably told him. I think they probably know, and Sadiq is just struggling to find a way to cure him. I don't know what the illness could be. It could be, I mean, like I said, it could be really, really fatal. You wouldn't do an illness storyline like this for nothing. That's why I feel like the character is going to die, because if they're introducing this idea that Ezekiel's sick, I mean, are they just going to come out of nowhere and say he's fine? He beat this illness and it's totally fine. Like, it's different from season 4 when all those characters got sick at the prison, because that was an actual storyline that involved all of the characters and involved the entire plot of the first half of season 4. I mean, there was this whole governor arc, there was that thing, but that illness that went through the prison, that was a big part of that season. This here is just a separate character thing. This is a standalone character story going on this season. If he just survives this illness, it's not really like story worthy, or it's not entertaining or interesting enough. You know what I mean? So that's why I feel like the character has to die. This way you can do a lot more for Carol, a lot more for just other characters. And yeah, I don't know. I think he is going to be a big character to die in this first half. Personally, that's what I think. And it is kind of poetic if you think about it, like the king dies of an illness, because it happens all the time in literature, in novels. It's either like an illness or the king is poisoned or something like that, right? So this could be what's happening. And I mean, I guess the question I have for you guys is this a fitting end to Ezekiel's character? I mean, you don't want to see characters go out like this. Obviously, it's a sad ending, but it is kind of the story of Ezekiel. It's like the tragedy of the king. You know, his life has been a tragedy ever since he met Rick and them. Ever since that moment, he's just lost so much, and he's just been on this downfall. And I think this just makes sense. I think this is what's going to happen with the character. And I think it's going to be a very sad moment to happen in this first half. I don't know. I just, like I said, for some reason, I have this feeling that he's going to die. It just, that feeling can't escape me. He's not really doing anything. Ezekiel's story right now, he's just kind of sitting at the hilltop and helping out. And he's a bigger character. You know, he's not like a character from Magna's group. He is a bigger character on The Walking Dead. He's been there since season 7, and he's barely serving a purpose right now. And I really think this is probably what it is. I think the character is going to die. I don't know what illness he has, but I think we're going to find out in this Sunday's episode. As for what happens once they find out and how he dies and stuff, I mean, it depends on the severity of the illness. He could die in the second half of the season, or maybe he kills himself, sacrifices himself because he knows what he has is fatal. It could end in either way, depends on where we're at by the mid-season finale, but I just feel like there's going to be a mid-season finale death. I mean, I don't really know with Angela Kang because she's only done one season, so it's kind of hard to predict what she's going to do based off of like the flow of her seasons, because like I said, she's only done one season. But Jesus died in the mid-season finale last year. Maybe Ezekiel goes this year. As for how Carol's going to react, how is that going to affect the story? I think it could it would give Carol, I think, a lot of closure, though I almost feel like Carol has a lot of closure with Ezekiel anyways. Again, I don't think Angela Kang wants to go down, like, just from a writer perspective, I don't think she wants to go down the same avenue as, well, where do we go with Carol and Ezekiel? Well, eventually they'll get back together. You know what I mean? And then they're just together and then they move on with their relationship, and just because just writing for that, they've already done that. They want to go in a different area with it, I think. And it makes sense. Have Ezekiel die, because again, there's nothing more you can do with Ezekiel. He hasn't done anything in a while. Even last season, they didn't do anything with him really. So you kill him off, you kill off that relationship. This way you can do a lot more with Carol, who is a season 1 character. I think Carol's going to be completely heartbroken. I think she's going to be very sad, and I can see them actually having a goodbye, because Ezekiel mentioned that, you know, he has a hard time talking to Carol. Well, in that final scene, I don't think they'll have a hard time talking to each other. I think they'll embrace each other. They'll be there. Carol will be there for Ezekiel as he goes out. And yeah, I don't know. That's kind of my prediction right now. I really think Ezekiel is going to be a big death in this first half. But let me know what you guys think. Do you think Ezekiel's sick? Do you think this sneak peek proves that? What about the synopsises for episode 5 and 6? Again, episode 5 says that Ezekiel holds a secret, and episode 6 says that Siddiq is struggling to solve a mystery. We saw him cough a couple times. Siddiq is also now at Hilltop. Is this what the secret is? Is Ezekiel fatally ill, and is Siddiq trying to help him but is going to fail? Or is he going to succeed? Post all your thoughts down below. Make sure to be a subscriber to get more Walking Dead content like this. I do want to do a Maggie video coming up very soon, and also another teaser breakdown for episode 5, but I want to focus more on Negan, Beta, and Alpha, because there's a lot of interesting things coming up very soon, and yeah, I just want to talk about all of that. So I hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.